What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And of course, you know, we always have these data downloads during the early parts of Treasure Map for the upcoming KIZUNA Clash. This time around though, we actually have a brand new Sugo-Fest exclusive that's dropping for the KIZUNA. Now mind you, the previously released KIZUNA Legend that came out was X Drake, which was in April of this year, right? 8 months ago was the last time we had a KIZUNA Legend. And now we finally have another one right before the New Year's celebration. And that character is none other than Boa Hancock, which of course we will be talking about in this video today. And of course we have the new Bonnie and Pudding character, which are brand new KIZUNA rare recruits that are going to be available in other future KIZUNAs moving forward. But it is just so bizarre that after so long, we finally have a brand new KIZUNA legend. A lot of people kind of pissed off about it, but I mean, you got to remember that like, we still are having the same amount of legends released per month. It's just they're distributing it amongst different banners, which is both a good and a bad thing. Either way, let's go ahead and talk about each of these characters, because I know you guys are going to be pretty excited about this one. Obviously, Christmas Chopper is going to be on the banner. We'll talk about him in a future video. And then, of course, we have Olin, who is going to be featured on the KIZUNA banner as well. So the first character here is going to be the rare recruit Pudding, who is a strength shooter and cerebral. Her captain ability doesn't really matter too much, you know, it's a pretty basic captain. And obviously he's going to be boosted in the KIZUNA, but unfortunately no boosted captain. I believe the Bonnie will also not have a boosted captain due to the fact that a legend is releasing with the KIZUNA. So, as for the Pudding, she's a shooter with barrier penetration. That's automatically, you know, a huge W for her. That's a very, very big effect that she has. Also has critical hits. The special ability reduces Strength Shooter Cerebral cooldown by 1, reduces Bind by 6, and reduces Rainbow Shield by 6. If you have an attack boost, you increase it by 0.25. Otherwise, you get a 2x attack boost to Strength Shooter Cerebral for 1 turn. Not a bad special, like it's got good utility. It also does have special reverse resistance as a crewmate ability. Unfortunately, you know, fear resistance, but I would assume that eventually, way down in the future, when this character receives a limit break expansion, that she probably will receive the fear resistance, which will make this character infinitely better than what she already is. Unfortunately, does not have any support effect and does not have any rumble abilities to speak of. But ultimately, I think she's pretty decent. That special ability is nice, and if you are aiming to run a shooter-based team, this may be a character you want to get your hands on, just due to the fact that it has relatively good utility, and also could provide an attack boost, which could prove pretty useful. The second rare recruit of the batch is going to be Jewelry Bonnie, who is also a strength unit, is going to be a strength free spirit fighter, and once again, captain ability relatively similar. The special ability will change all slots including block into matching, and then you reduce the crew's despair and paralysis by 5 turns, as well as removing 5 turns of defense up. And then if your crew has an orb boost when you launch her special, it extends the duration of it by 1 turn. Otherwise, you get a strength fighter and free spirit orb boost for 2 turns. A 2x orb boost for 2 turns, which is pretty interesting. So it's decent. Once again, it's going to be pretty good in the KIZUNA, as we can kind of imagine. But of course, it does so many different things in this special. You have really good orb change, despair paralysis, and defense up removal. Like, these characters are awesome. And then if you have an orb boost, you just get 1 turn extension, which could prove to be very useful in content as well, depending on what kind of teams you're going to build for. But this seems pretty good so far. But of course, this is the character that we want to talk about, the support of her beloved, support for her beloved, Boa Hancock. Now, Boa getting a brand new legend, I'm really happy about that. Boa's one of my favorite characters, so I'm very interested to see what kind of abilities that she's going to possess. So, Boa is a strength free spirit shooter, and she is a super type character, which is wicked. It's nice to have these limited legends that actually have super classes and super types, unlike, you know, Rumble legends, you know, shout out to those guys. But let's go ahead and break down what she actually does. So her captain is going to reduce her own cooldown by 2 turns at the start of the quest, boosting strength, free spirit, and shooter characters by 5.25, health by 1.25. It makes strength, dex, and psi slots matching, reduces the chances of landing on recovery and tandem slots, and heals the crew by 2000 HP at the end of the turn. This reminds me a lot of V2 Boa, who came out. V2 Boa was a shooter-focused captain, and with her captain ability, it reduced the chances of you landing recovery and tandem slots, but then it supplemented that by giving you more recovery. Now, obviously, if you're running, you know, super tandem characters, it sucks that you're not getting more of these tandem slots, you know, being generated for the crew. But typically, if you're using a super tandem character, you have a way to guarantee yourself super tandem slots anyway, so I don't think that's going to be a big issue. If people complain about that, then they're stupid. But this is pretty good captain ability, honestly. Like, more matching slots, and the fact that, you know, recovery and tandem slots are reduced means you're going to be getting more type slots, and she makes 3 of the 7, or 3 of the 5, should we say, natural slots at this point, count as beneficial. And even if you still use the whale ship, you're still going to make tandem slots matching as well. Like, this seems pretty good, honestly. I don't really see too many issues with this captain ability. It seems pretty solid. The fact that she only gives cooldown for herself is a little strange, considering, you know, this character, it just reminds me of like Uta, for example, because Uta gives herself like -4 cooldown, but even if her special is ready, you still have to stall for everyone else, so it is kind of weird. But at the end of the day, it's still pretty good. I do kind of wish there was like 2 turns of cooldown for all characters. That would have been so busted. But at the end of the day, I think it's actually still pretty good. The super type effect, you need to have a certain character of Luffy, Sandersonia, Marigold, Margaret, Grandma Neon, or Gloricia, or after 7 turns have passed. Now, I can't remember off the top of my head if, like, moving into a new stage counts as a passing turn. If it does, then this activation requirement is actually pretty good. But let's see what it actually does. So it gives a color affinity boost to Strength, Free Spirit, and Shooter, 2.25 for 3 turns. That's very good. Inflicts the Love status on each enemy, which is exactly what, was it Halloween Boa? I think Halloween Boa did it, as well as the Super Type Boa way back in the day. The Summer Boa Hancock also did it. So it inflicts Love status until they're hit 10 times, which if you guys don't remember what it does, it inflicts them with a status where they literally cannot attack you. They can still activate their actions and preemptive abilities and stuff like that. Like once a turn passes, they might do something on turn 2 that, you know, inflicts you with a bind status, for example. Those type of things will still activate, but they can't attack you. They actually cannot physically do damage to you unless if their action is like a death hit or something like that. I believe that will still activate. But either way, that's interesting. So it's a 10 hit Mellow or Love status. But if you already have it activated, then it will add 10 hits of the status to the Love status characters. And then Strength becomes Super Strength. So the Love status stuff doesn't really matter too much. It's mainly the fact that this character gives you the ability to get a 2.25 times color affinity boost for 3 turns. That's definitely the more useful component, but at least you can still use a Luffy character in order to activate the super type, so you can kind of get it to activate pretty quickly. The other characters like Sandersonia, Marigold, Margaret, and Grandma Neon, there's not too many good characters of those that this Boa can really abuse, realistically. So I think this is honestly pretty decent so far. I was kind of hoping that the character wasn't focused around the Love status effects. But anyways, it is what it is. Let's move on to her special. So it's a 12 turn cooldown, which is pretty respectable. Remember, she gives -2 to herself at the start. So she already starts off at a 10 turn cooldown. With sockets, it goes down to 8. And then obviously with a cooldown reduction, you go down to 7. So, you know, starting off pretty good. So the actual effect is going to boost Strength, Free Spirit, and Shooter characters' attack by 2.5 until the crew's HP is reduced by 3,000. Yo, that's crazy. I mean, depending on the type of content you're going up against, this means you could have a 2.5 attack boost, like, indefinitely. That's crazy. Now, it says until the crew's HP is dropped by 3,000, so I assume, obviously, like, preemptive attacks, normal attacks, and also, unfortunately, I would think if you're inflicted with Despair, that does reduce your HP if you've got an HP boosting captain, which this Boa does. So if you're inflicted with Despair, that also would reduce your HP. So I assume that would also count towards this. But I mean, depending on the content, like, you could just have your HP be super low from the beginning, and even if you get despaired, you won't even have to worry about it. That's really cool. I like that. I like how unique that is. That's really sick. Okay. Additionally, what is this? Inflicts Petrify status. That is a new keyword. That's a new mechanic. Inflicts Petrify status. Love status threshold will not decrease. Interesting. So it's like a buffed version of Love, where even if you tap on the character, it will not reduce the amount of, you know, Love stacks. That's really bizarre. I don't know why they decided to do that, but that's interesting. Inflicts Petrify status to each enemy in Love status when the special is launched for 2 turns. Okay, wait, so it's only for 2 turns. So for 2 turns, you can hit them as much as you want, and they're not going to attack you. I don't know if that's good or not. I really don't know, because, like, it's just more of a gimmick. I like these type of things aren't super good. It's more of a defensive style mechanic. So I guess if you're in like really difficult content, like depending on what you're coming up against, like a GARP challenge or you know a training forest, for example, this type of thing would be kind of broken. But in more contemporary content like arenas and even Grand Voyage, like this type of ability is not going to be useful. One thing that we can surmise from this is that there's likely going to be mob characters on the final boss stage of the KIZUNA, which we hate. We obviously hate that, but it would make sense with what this Boa special does. So it continues to say it inflicts love status on each enemy, which will bind their regular attacks until they're hit 8 times, and also cancels the crew's attack reducing slot effects for 3 turns. That's kind of weird. Attack reducing slot effects. This type of thing is like really odd, because a lot of the times so what this does, for those of you who don't know, attack reducing slot effects refers to the fact that, you know, a badly matching slot will give you half attack, or a block slot gives you half attack, or like a super block slot, for example. When you activate this special, it says for 3 turns, those negative slots are basically counted as neutral slots. So instead of them giving you half attack or significantly reduced attack, they're going to be counted as like a 1x bonus, just like getting a quick slot on an int character, for example, where it's normally just neutral damage. That's exactly what this does. So ultimately, you get an attack boost that can potentially last indefinitely. You get the Petrify status for 2 turns, you can inflict love status, and attack reducing slot effects are removed. Interesting. And then of course, you would probably want to activate the super type, right, before using the special of Boa, unless if you have 2 Boas, because then you could actually get, you know, the Mellow love status and then petrify them. Or you could use her super type to inflict love status, then use her special to petrify them. It's weird. It's really weird and wacky stuff, but I like that they're giving us some more unique stuff. That's kind of cool. I just don't see this character being used all that much, unfortunately. Maybe as a sub, though, because the fact that you can have a potentially indefinite attack boost that lasts until you just get 3000 HP reduced, like, that's so good. That's definitely the best component of the character overall. I like that a lot, actually. As for the crewmate abilities, strength attack by 100. Free spirit and shooter characters get strength slots as matching. That's actually pretty good. That's a really good crewmate ability. And she does have the pinch healing 2 times below 50, recovery bind by 7, and she does have hunger, removing it by 3 at level 5. Now, her support effect attaches to the same characters that are required for her super type, and it will change the supported character slot into strength. It will remove your attack reducing slot effects for 1 turn, again, really bizarre, and heal the crew by 2000 at the start of the final battle. Very weird as well. Okay, I could definitely see this being used a little bit. I like the fact that it changes the slot into strength specifically. That's really cool. Obviously, it's got some really cool things where you could have it on Luffy, for example, and you could use like Versus Ace. I know like Versus Ace really doesn't see a lot of play anymore, but you know, with Versus Ace, your captain needs to have a strength slot in order to get the benefits from it. So I guess, you know, that's one kind of use case for this. I think it's pretty decent though. I mean, the 2000 heal is also appreciated. We'd love to see that. And depending on what kind of content you're coming up against, sometimes on the final battle, just not getting badly matching slots on the final battle sometimes might be really good. Maybe on some of those auto farm for the point farming events, this could be pretty useful. Either way, let's have a look at the Pirate Rumble abilities, which I'm also very excited to have a look at. Let's see. Her Rumble ability is going to give Strength allies Defense 5, HP 5. And for the first 30 seconds, you get Speed level 5. It's good. That's a really good Rumble ability. But of course, you got to think, right, one of the big things about this character that's going to see... it's going to be a little bit hard to talk about is the fact that this character is going to compete with the waifus in Rumble. Personally speaking, I'm a big fan of the waifus in Rumble. I love their confusion status, and they actually do okay damage. So this character is going to be very hard to replace, at least for me. But let's see what her special does. 35 CT is ridiculously high. Targets one enemy for 1.5 times her attack up to 5 times. It's decent. And then targets all enemies for a 30% chance of confusion for 10 seconds. If you have Marigold or Sanderzonia on the team, 30% chance of action bind for 10 seconds. So that does also target all, so that's kind of cool. But 30%, that's pretty bad. And if, like, hypothetically, you have 5 enemies on the enemy side of the field, it means that out of those 5 enemies that you're targeting, just by going on odds, usually only one of those 5 is going to be hit with confusion and action bind. If you have the Sanderzonia or Marigold on your team, you know, obviously there's Pirate Rumble where recruit Sanderzonia that can synergize with this character. Ultimately, I don't think it's that great. The 30% chance is just not high enough. I think, what are the waifus actually, now that I'm thinking about it? I have a feeling the waifus are around 70%. I can't actually remember off the top of my head how much the waifus were with their Rumble stuff. So they are 80%. That's actually pretty good. Yeah, because they do, and it's like lower CT, horizontal chance for 80% of confusion for 10 seconds, and then 3 enemies for 2800 fixed damage. Like, I feel like that's just way more useful. Yeah, I don't know about that, man. I really don't know about that. I don't think this character is going to replace the waifus in Rumble, at least right now. Like, if you're using waifus in Rumble, you're not going to be replacing this character for them. It would have been cool if, like, if you had Sandersonia on the team, maybe you got buffed to, like, 50%. I think at 50%, this character might see a little bit of play. But at the same time, it's 35 CT. Like, 35 CT is ridiculously high for this character's special in Rumble anyways. So, ultimately, I think Boa's pretty interesting. She's definitely not the type of character that you should go waste all of your gems to try and pull for. This is a character that you could just wait and get in the future, but I do like the fact that she could potentially have an indefinite amount of time for a 2.5 times attack boost. That's very valuable. Anyways, let's have a quick look at the banner, which is going live on the 16th of December, so it's very, very shortly. And here we have the step up. So we've got a trash step and a trash step. At least the first one is a discount multi. We've got the third one, which is a recommended character. As for recommended, you can see them all here. We've got the Boa, the 2 new rare recruits, we have the new Big Mom, Legend Chopper, and also Monet, the White Christmas Party Monet. So hopefully you get a bit of luck there. Trash step, and then you got a Legend, and then lots of trash steps. You got a Legend on the 8th, the KIZUNA character on the 7th, recommended on the 10th. And of course, the new Hancock is going to be guaranteed at the 25th multi. Considering that we are so close to New Year's celebratory events, I highly advise you guys to be skipping this banner. That's what I would be suggesting to all of you guys out there to be doing. But of course, that is your discretion to decide whether or not you want to do that. I would advise you to do that, but we'll wait and see how things go. Of course, the New Year celebratory events, will probably get an announcement as to what the character or characters are going to be around Christmas time, usually on Christmas Day or the day before. We get the information about who the character is going to be or characters are going to be, so be on the lookout for that. That is going to wrap it up for me from this video. I'm going to make another video specifically talking about the new 6+. Make sure to go ahead and stay tuned for that. That's going to wrap it up for me. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Other than that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.